happen with him. So it stinks for him in the midfield, for both of them, really. As far as what you do, I don't know. I mean, you're going to have options to kind of do different things. Yeah, you can put, a Barco or Moreno on the inside and have the other one sit outside and have them underlap and overlap against each other and kind of float and pull defenses out of shape. I wouldn't necessarily bet money against. At some point we might see them on the field together at times where it looks like you have dual eights. It could get weird. You never know with how this sets up. If you've got a guy like, if you want to run Jake Mulroney out on the left side, especially late in games where you can ask him, hey, I need you to run it, guys, and we're going to push them inside and ask them to win their dribbles in the inside and pull defenses out of shape. You could have Machop Cho coming back and being a part of that. There's a lot you can do in terms of how you make this midfield and how you make this attack work as a whole. I don't think it has to be this guy's absolutely an 8, this guy absolutely a 10. These guys are absolutely wingers, and that's, forever and ever amen. It's just not going to be how it's structured.
Yeah, but I want to clarify just so we don't confuse people here. You're not really playing with 10s. You're not playing
I know, but I'm just throwing. That's the number that people associate with the numbers, and I get what you mean.
I know and that's one reason I'm trying to clarify, because we get really hung up on 6, 8, 10, and there's one of each, or there's always a 10 somewhere. The way that Heinze is playing it and the way that he has said he's playing it is the creativity comes from the wide players. They're essentially the 10s. It's a 6 and 2 8s, and as you know, an 8 can defend or attack. That changes a little bit, I think, who could be in those positions. And it's just an important distinction. I'm trying not to be nitpicky on it, but it is an important thing about who could play those roles, because I could absolutely see a central midfield against some opponents with Santiago Sosa sitting behind Franco Ibarra and Mo Adams. And that feels very defensive in some ways. But Mo Adams can get forward and join the attack. We've seen it multiple times now. Franco Ibarra is starting to do that more and more as well. But also in that kind of configuration, Santi Sosa can step forward a lot more easily too, because you've got guys who can sit back. The three midfielders, it's not as much with the way Gabriel Heinze plays it in terms of rigid, he's a 6, he's an 8, he's a 10. It's a lot more of these three guys are playing together. One has to stay connected to the back line. The other two have to facilitate and get into the 18 and get into dangerous scoring opportunities. It doesn't always have to be the same one doing the same things. And that's what makes this a very interesting kind of replacement for Emerson Hyndman, because it could be Marcelino Moreno, who's very different than Franco Ibarra, who it could also be, who's pretty different than Mo Adams, who it could also be, who's different than Mateus Rossetto, who it could possibly be. All of them could fit into that kind of role, and all of them would bring different things to the table. It's not a rigid decision. It's not a like-for-like kind of decision, and that's what can make it really interesting as to how Gabriel Heinze solves the problem.
And you're still going to have the issue of, you're trying to figure out who's going to be gone during the breaks, how you're going to manage those breaks. Is it going to be Kubo Torres and Jackson Conway time when Joseph's gone, and how does that balance? Ronald Hernandez hasn't really focused in on the first team, I think, as much as people expected him to, mostly because Brooks Lennon just kind of refuses to let go of that. He's kind of turned into an alligator snapping turtle with that position, and he's not going to let go until he hears thunder. As far as the rest of it, I would imagine you're letting Barco go to the Olympics. I think you mentioned you don't have to let him. Yeah, I'm letting him go. I'm letting him jack that value up at the Olympics. If it's me. But I think this is also why it was so important to start the season so well. And I know, there is the doom and gloom of, Atlanta's, a couple points out of a playoff. Yeah, they're also like a couple points out of first. The entire East is just a gaggle. But you put yourself in that gaggle by performing well, and that was important to start the season well. And it's one of the reasons why the Nashville draw hurt so much to miss out on those 3 points, because you're going to have guys coming in and out of the squad like this is a rotating door at a Macy's, because guys are coming in and out of the squad. They're going to be traveling all over God's creation for tournaments and games. So you wanted to get as many points as you could before all that. You did a good job, especially away from home. And you're going to have to keep kind of grinding things out here. It's going to be interesting to see who steps up when guys are missing? Who steps up when Joseph's gone? Who steps up when Barco's gone? Who grabs that midfield spot? Joseto, because he hasn't featured in the last few games with the twos, but that's a unique situation because Jack Collison has taken over this team. He had 2 games in 4 days, and he went with guys he was familiar with out of the academy. It was 2 really young lineups and 2 really good performances. Some of these second-team guys are going to have to get in there and bump some elbows with these young academy players to see who gets minutes for that, to see who's going to be able to be a focus going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge because it's going to be hard to get consistency with the lineups over the next couple of months. And where I do think it's a big advantage that Atlanta has been tactically flexible and has a lot of utility built into the way they've structured their team, it will limit Gabriel Heinze's ability to mix and match based off the opponent at times. You're going to see some times where it might make more sense based off the players available to create situations of superiority to play 3 center backs against 1 forward, which is never ideal. That's going to mean that one of those center backs is going to be one of your better players on the field, and they're going to have to step up and join the attack and create things and make things happen. It's going to get interesting because this is a huge challenge, and honestly, it's a unique challenge for Gabriel Heinze. I have to go back through his time at Vélez. Argentina's league has played through international tournaments. They're not this year because of the way the league was scheduled with the Copa de la Liga early and the true league format later in the year, but they have done it. I don't know if they did it during his time at Vélez. He could have had to deal with a few absences here and there like this at Argentinos Juniors, but probably not many second division players were being called up for these sorts of things. So it's unique. It's not typical to play through, major international tournaments. And it'll be tough. And this is just one aspect that's tough. I mean, we haven't even gotten into maybe the biggest one in Joseph Martinez being gone. And with Lisandro Lopez leaving the club, that means it's Kubo Torres and Jackson Conway as the 2 true number 9s available, John. And we talked about it with Kubo. Kubo makes the system work pretty well because he works very hard and he defends and he chases and he does the press and his movement is good. He hasn't been able to finish consistently during his time in an Atlanta shirt. Jackson Conway is very young and has very limited experience at the top level, but he has significant experience at the second division level. It's a fascinating situation where now at least 3-4 games without Joseph. And what does Gabriel Heinze do up top to solve that issue?
And, there have been 3 words that have come through in the first 20-plus minutes of the show: versatility, utility, and flexibility. And with Kubo Torres and Jackson Conway, you have 2 individuals who come at it, with different skill sets, physical, form, what have you. And I think that taking Kubo with his effort and his, always wanting to come back, being defensive-minded when he needs to, always doubling back, always wanting to get engaged in the play. And then you have Jackson, who can be a force with his height and his power and his imagination. And so once again, you have 2 different individuals who can come at it from 2 separate places, and that versatility that's there with those 2, you're going to need to rely on that with Joseph not being around. And so it's going to be interesting for me because you sit there and you have all of these different guys, and you talked about it in the midfield too with Emerson Hyndman now being out of the picture, where you have different guys who can do different things, be in different places, and give you different aspects of what Gabriel Heinze might be looking for on a game-by-game basis. And so when you look at Kubo Torres, you have the veteran who can do things defensively, and he's going to run all over the field for you and do what needs to be done. Jackson Conway, the younger player who's had the time with the 2s, and he's been active with the first team and getting acquainted with what Gabriel Heinze wants there. And so once again, it's like different pieces and different aspects that you can put together in this jigsaw puzzle that you're going to need to have fit together for these different competitions where your players aren't going to be around.
Yeah, it's not easy. I think for people who were wondering about Jackson Conway on Wednesday, my guess is Joseph's imminent call-up to Venezuela for the Copa America would be a reason not to play Conway in USL, because the last thing you need is an injury at that point. He doesn't need minutes in USL to know how to play at that level. He's got significant USL experience from 2018 through 2020. Does he need minutes to stay sharp? Sure, you'd love that. But does he need minutes to potentially get hurt? That's a problem. So that's my guess. I don't know if that's a fact or not, but that's my assumption based off the situation with 2 forwards available for at least a few weeks. And there's a week where it's the first week of it, the return. It's Sunday with Philly. It's Wednesday in New York City. So it's going to be a quick turn of games that you're going to need minutes from both of them. No way around it. You're going to need minutes from Kubo and from Jackson in those situations. Jackson Conway's about to get his opportunity, I would assume. And it's what he does with it is going to be very important. He can absolutely earn the bulk of the time here during this period with Joseph out, and he can move up on the depth chart. He has to grab this opportunity with both hands and make it work. And Jarrett, we've talked about Jackson Conway over the years quite a bit, and his, I think, more versatile game than maybe he gets credit for. He is going to have to do some work off the ball that we haven't seen as much of from him. But in terms of being a number 9, he's not purely just a big target number 9 who can score goals. He's got good feet, and he can bring others into the play as well, which is needed in this system.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to drop back into the play and connect things and hold up, and he can do all of that. And I think that he's going to be ready for that. I don't think Gabriel Heinze is not going to throw him out there like he's a fish out of water. He's not going to get this opportunity if he's not capable of doing the job. And he's going to be given the opportunity to go show he can do it, but it's just going to be a matter of taking advantage of it. And it might be some tough play at times, because the jump from USL to MLS is something else. I mean, the kid does have a goal in CONCACAF Champions League against one of the biggest clubs on the continent, so that should do great in terms of confidence for him. At least I would think it would. But yeah,
Jackson's got no problems with confidence.
No.
And he's not arrogant by any stretch. But Jackson,
no, but
he knows what he can do, and that's a good thing.
And that's a difference. And that's a difference that I like to drill home to people sometimes. Is there's a difference between being like cocky and being confident. Like,
yes,
because you can carry yourself in a way that honestly kind of makes both of them look similar. But Jackson knows what he's capable of. He's talented.
Look, a young forward has to have that attitude.
Oh my God, yes. You can't. I mean, we watch. You go if you'd watch the last 2 games. Trust me, Benitez is pretty sure that this time is the time I'm going to dribble by that guy and be on ESPN's top 10. Mm-hmm. And anytime it doesn't come off, it isn't. Oh, I can't believe that didn't happen. It's no. Next time it's going to work perfectly.
Yeah.
You have to have a short-term memory if you are a teenage forward or a teenage goalkeeper especially. You have to have the short-term amnesia when you need it. And make a mistake, block it out, go get the next one, make the next big play. I think Jackson's got that kind of mentality. Now, I do want to get into the Twitch pitch has been flying, which is great, and we're not able to keep up because it's absolute chaos, which is expected during a time like this. But one thing I do want to touch on that I've talked about a good bit is those central midfielders. And one of the values of Emerson Hyndman is I think he is very savvy in finding space in the final third and being dangerous. That is not Mo Adams' game necessarily. It's not Franco Ibarra's game necessarily. It possibly could be Mateus Josetsu's game, but he hasn't played in that forward of a role on a regular basis in his career. He's been more of an 8. He has sat back in a double pivot before in his time in Brazil. Mo Adams has generally been a defensive midfielder who has been able to get forward into dangerous spots from time to time. Franco Ibarra, in his limited time as a pro, has sat back and played in a double pivot for the most part, except for when he came to Atlanta. And we're starting to see Ibarra, I think, understand where to be and how to make that that 8 role in Atlanta work, but none of them are naturally the player in the final third that Emerson Hyndman can be. And this is where it gets back to problem solving. How could things get moved around to figure out that issue? If the central midfielders are the ones who need to find that space in the final third, and that's the way this system has been structured. If you don't have those guys, can you move somebody into that position? Could Eric Lopez come inside and be one of those players and function almost like a second forward, like he did against Club America in the CONCACAF Champions League last year? It's possible. It'd be an adjustment for him, and it's going to take some work on the training ground. He's going to have to get his movement right. He's going to have to understand tracking back defensively. But, yeah, it is a possibility. I don't think Tyler Wolff has shown he's quite ready for that yet during his time with the Twos. I think he's still learning the central position. He's been up and down. It's been a little hit or miss. But he could have an opening here to, again, earn time. He's got to play better and more consistently at the Twos level, I think, possibly to get there. Or, because of the situation, he might get an opportunity handed to him. And then what do you make of it? It's the thing about a young player, and it's the thing about situations like this. We can go through the obvious fixes all day. What might end up happening is something we don't see, a possibility, a hunch. And I'll go back to Pep Guardiola and Bayern when he first got there. He had a ton of injuries. He did not see, and nobody really saw, except for, I think, a youth coach, that Philipp Lahm could be a central midfielder and be a holding midfielder. Nobody played him there. They had a bunch of issues and decided, you know what? This could work. It was Dome Tarrant who suggested it, and it opened up a door. It wasn't on the table. It wasn't okay, this is the easy fix, this is the easy fix, this is the easy fix. It was like not even on the list. And it worked, and then it became something that helped that team grow. Is a possibility like that there? You never know. It could mean a tweak to a player's positioning. It could mean a tweak to the way the team works. There's different ways to do this, and Gabriel Heinze is now going to have some time preparing for Philadelphia, which is a different way to play anyway, to solve this problem. We know the challenge that Philadelphia brings in. That's the next game that's being prepared for. New York City's after that. But Philadelphia presents a unique challenge because of how they load the midfield. Now you're down one of your best midfielders. So how does Gabriel Heinze solve this problem? This is why coaches like Heinze are valuable, in my opinion, because they're not tied down to one setup of playing. I don't even want to say style or philosophy or way of playing. It's a setup. You have guys who will only play out of a certain formation. That's not Gabriel Heinze's way. That's not the Pep Guardiola way. It's not the Bielsa way. It's not managers from that school, the Dutch school. It's not managers from that school's way. You can move the pieces around on the chessboard to solve the problem. Now he gets to do that in real time. And that's going to be a challenge because you're missing a good player. And you're going to be missing other good players due to international duty. How can you find something that continues playing the way you want to play because you feel it's the right way to play, but also get results in a critical time of the season where you're going to play two good teams in a short period of time in Philadelphia and New York City? It's going to be wild to watch. And while, again, we can go through the obvious solutions, I think the solution could be something that we're not considering, that Heinze and his staff are seeing in watching these players day to day and studying and understanding, okay, could we move this guy here? And I know it's not what you would expect, but could it work? These kinds of things. Multifunctional, yes. There's all kinds of possibilities. So let's see what happens and how it gets solved. But it is a loss to lose Emerson Hyndman. It will be a loss to lose Joseph Martinez. Depth on the right side will be a little bit of an issue with Ronald Hernandez going to Venezuela's national team. Jack Gurr no longer with the team. Anton Walks, I would assume, would be the backup option at right back. I don't have an update on Jurgen Damm. Hamstring injury is all we know from before. Don't know how close he is to being able to contribute. I would hope that it's pretty close. I think that's it. I think that's what we know at this point. And now there is a little over a week to get ready for a game against Philadelphia that will not be an easy match.
Burned in the Twitch pitch has another interesting thought. He says that Robbie Mertz is the closest type-wise we have to Hyman. Is he first division quality?
It's a tough call. I mean, that's why Robbie Mertz came here, was to get that kind of an opportunity. He is the closest in terms of style of a player to that. He is. He is coming off an injury as well. He did mix in with the first team in the joint training exercise that was done with Charleston. He was part of that group in the second half. I think it's questionable on if he's a first division player, but Robbie will tell you, he told us when we talked to him before the season, he came to Atlanta because he saw what Lawrence White did, what Jack Gurr did, guys who were in USL Championship or out of college, not academy guys coming through, who saw if they do well with the twos, they will get a door open to them to the first team. And he has trained with the first team. So that is a possibility. And I believe, actually I'm almost positive, I say almost every time when we're dealing with MLS roster rules, because there's so many rules that are not public that we don't know. I'm almost positive they have the supplemental spots that they would need to sign Robbie Mertz if they wanted to. Also, people have mentioned Aiden McFadden because of his strong form, not to solve this issue, but to provide depth on that right side. Aiden McFadden would be another one who could sign a contract as a supplemental spot in a supplemental player situation. I think both of them, there's spots there for them if that's a move that you want to make. There's also a transfer window coming up. And there's also, trades within the league. Like, there's a lot of different ways to solve this. It is a multifunctional manager and a multifunctional set of players, and they're going to need all those different functions going forward to solve these issues because it's going to be a challenge. And look, Atlanta's not the only team. Like, I was kind of wondering if we would get a list from MLS of all the players who've been called up for Copa America, because the rosters have kind of come out and been a little all over the place. But there are quite a few players that will be away during the Copa America. Gold Cup, we don't know yet, but there's, going to be a lot of players called up from MLS for that. So Atlanta's not the only team dealing with this right now.
And I think that was one of the things that we need to remind folks. It's like, yes, we're locked in with Atlanta United, but they're not going to be the only team that's going to be looking at this next summer of soccer with all of the tournaments going on. That they're not going to be the only team that's going to be having these questions and have to work the chessboard over the next couple of months. Yes, because Atlanta's where we are, that's where we're focused. But there are going to be other clubs that are going to have to be addressing these same kinds of issues as these tournaments come up and down the line, and the absences and how you respond. And it's going to be an interesting test case for these coaches that are going to have to work the physics and the chessboard and try to figure out how to do things when players aren't around. What does your depth look like? How do you plug this into your system? How do these guys fit? How do the chess pieces rework themselves? I mean, it's going to be an interesting experiment over the next couple of months.
Yeah, there's a few players away during the Euros, not many. There's far more that are going to be away with the Copa America, and I think it's a lot of the hype is on the European Championships coming up. Some of that's because of just the ridiculous nature of the Copa America that is going on in Brazil. Sponsors have pulled out of this, which is a really wild situation for CONMEBOL, who is doing this because they need the money, but Diageo and MasterCard and Ambev, Anheuser-Busch, they have all pulled out in different ways of this tournament. MasterCard's not activating its sponsorship of Copa America in Brazil. Their branding's been on the event since 1992. Ambev said its brands will not be present at the Copa America. Diageo is joining them. They announced that yesterday. So this Copa America is going to happen. It is going to affect MLS in a big way, but I don't have the list in front of me of every team and who's missing who yet. And Gold Cup, we don't even know yet. That's not even going to come out for a few more weeks. So we do have a little bit of this, though, we need to get to. Telegraph Sport is reporting that Paulo Fonseca has signed a 2-year deal with Tottenham with an optional extension. This had been reported as imminent all but done, depending on sources out of England and out of Italy. It's not a shock at this stage because they have to get somebody like now, but it is a weird look that Roma moves on from Paulo Fonseca. They hire the man that Tottenham had moved on from in Jose Mourinho, and now Paulo Fonseca goes into Jose Mourinho's old office and takes it. Okay. June 23rd, June 2023 is the deal. It's through that with that optional season at the end. Negotiations began at the same time that Antonio Conte was approached, but I guess Fonseca was the second choice. Conte didn't get it done. He didn't want to take it. Fonseca does. 2 in-person meetings with members of the Spurs board of directors, according to Sport Italia. He's happy with the project that's in front of him, and everybody now, add the Telegraph to it, is reporting that a deal is practically done. Paulo Fonseca is a good manager. I think, any hint of that, and you can say whatever you want about what he's done so far. He's a good manager. He's a manager at the level of Spurs. They're not going down the table like we talked about yesterday to somebody who hasn't shown they can do it at this level. I mean, Paulo Fonseca has won multiple trophies at Shakhtar Donetsk. He's built a team that people know out of the Ukraine, which is not easy to do, and he did all right at Roma. Last time I checked, Tottenham did all right in the Premier League. So I do want to push back on some of the it's Paulo Fonseca, it's not that good. It's probably the guy that Tottenham could get right now and convince him of taking this project. He's at that level. It's not reaching down a level to get somebody. Can he take them up a level is the question. He's got a better shot of doing that than Potter or Hasenhüttl or anybody else who hasn't ever been at that level. We'll just have to see if he's good enough. Tottenham wasn't able to convince somebody who has shown that they've done it at a higher level to take the job. That's basically where we're at. So they convinced somebody who is at the level of Tottenham to take the job. It's normally how it works, right?
Yeah. I mean, earlier this week when we were going over what Antonio Conte had said, and if
but
you're
he's
not
at a higher level,
right? And if you're not convinced, then you're not going to take it. And so what you're looking at is someone who has had success in Ukraine, and he's been all right in Serie A, and you're dealing with a team right now that is all right in the Premier League. And so now, once again, that question is, can Paulo Fonseca take Spurs from being all right and move them up a couple of notches and put them, instead of being in the Europa discussion, can they be a part of the Champions League discussion?
Are they going to spend? Because it doesn't matter. You could put Antonio Conte, you could put Pep Guardiola, you could put whoever you want in that situation. If they don't spend in any way resembling what City, Liverpool, and Chelsea do, doesn't matter who's wearing that tracksuit.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you can say whatever you want about Paulo Fonseca. You can trash what he did in Ukraine. You can trash what he did at Roma. He didn't beat teams ahead of him. Well, Roma didn't have the level of talent either. So, this is the level that Paulo Fonseca is. This is the level that Spurs are. This is a safer choice than Potter or Hasenhüttl or any of the other names that were floating around. Ropes ask about Everton now. Do they hire Potter? And sadly, maybe possibly.
Big
because
dunk.
They've got to go get... Yeah, that would actually be the move that they would have in their back pocket that Tottenham didn't really have. They didn't have that former club legend that they could give it to, although Jarrett might have some things to say about giving the job to former club legends.
Yes.
Right, Jarrett?
Giving the job to a club legend, just make sure it's the right club legend.
Yeah. I don't know if Duncan Ferguson is as outdated as Neil Lennon.
Neil Lennon just got outdated real damn quick was the problem.
He did.
Like, he went from being, this will work, to, oh, buddy, no.
Katie, the news is not official, but it's being reported on Fonseca from Fabrizio Romano that it is basically all but done. Sport Italia that it is basically all but done. And now the Telegraph in London is reporting that it is done. They have said, and I will give you the... understood to have agreed to a 2-year deal with a 1-year extension, 1-year optional extension. Yeah, Ropes. I think for what Everton's dealing with when we talk about these levels, right? And this is what we talked about yesterday for a long time. If you're going to ask somebody who has coached at a lower level team is what I'm talking about, to come up to a bigger team and then elevate them further, that's a big ask. It can happen. It does happen. It's also a big risk. Tottenham has went for somebody comparable to where they are. The wild card is always what Everton could play here, where they we'll get into that in a second. The wild card is what you could see with a Duncan Ferguson, who is somebody who was an interim for, I can't remember how long he was the interim there, not a ton of time, but yeah. I think did pretty well. I think people were fairly happy. Who doesn't have a ton of coaching experience, because he could turn out to be the right fit, the right person for that job. I think Ole is showing that at Manchester United. Believe what you want. He has elevated them from where they were. Now the spending is outpaced them, and they got to figure out a way to get Jadon Sancho, because they still can't get the stupid thing done. But you can get somebody who understands the club, and they can elevate. You can elevate. Everybody can win. But that's risky too, because he could basically not be a good manager. And you don't know. Tottenham went safe. Duncan Ferguson? It's an interesting one. I think it's a better play than Potter or Hasenhüttl. Hasenhüttl's a little bit more of an interesting one for me, but Ferguson with his connection with Everton, I think is a pretty good play. I know, and Coco said Lampard certainly worked out. Lampard didn't fail, though. Tuchel was just better.
Yeah.
Lampard did get them into the Champions League the year before with a young squad when nobody thought he would. He wasn't able to rise to the level that Roman Abramovich spent at, which was insane. And the expectations did change. And no, Lampard wasn't ready for that yet. But Tuchel was the best last season. I mean, he just came in and did the best job anybody's seen. Lampard's all right. You know, Everton's a different club with different expectations. I'm not throwing shade. It's a fact. You're not spending at the same level. Everton's not going to come in and give the job to Ferguson and say, go win every trophy, all of them, now. No, that's not going to happen. So I think it's an easier fit. And yes, I was incorrect with club legend not being involved in the mix at Tottenham. I apologize to Jurgen Klinsmann for throwing his hat in the ring. He did say that he had been in talks. He did say he was waiting on a phone call at one point. Yes, Jurgen Klinsmann was a Tottenham club legend who was interested in that job, and no, they did not hire him, and good job, Daniel Levy.
Yeah. For the record, in between Marco Silva and Carlo Ancelotti, Big Dunk had 1 win and 3 draws in 4 matches.
He's unbeaten in 4. Hire him. Do it. It's better than Potter, I think. And I'm not as down on Potter as John is, and as some are. We've talked about this. I think Potter could elevate himself. I think he could do better at Brighton. I think he should play Moises Caicedo. I think they've played better soccer than their record has shown. They need somebody to score. That's not Moises Caicedo's job. They need a goal scorer. That's the biggest issue. But Ferguson's a better fit for Everton, in my opinion. He just is. Everton's a different club than Spurs, too, and where they are. As Rope says, they just want to get to Europe. It's a different expectation. He might be able to do that. We'll see if he gets that opportunity. I think it's a better play than the other options on the table for Everton, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, and you have Duncan Ferguson, who understands it. He gets Everton. He's already been on the touchline for 4 matches. He understands the dynamic. He understands what it means in that emotional sense, and knows what it means to be a part of the fabric of everything. And I think that puts him ahead of somebody who's been in the Premier League in another place, who all they have done is go against them, and maybe seeing crowds at Goodison Park and understands the Premier League. I think that Ferguson, since he's played there and he's coached there, and he was a caretaker there, I think that for me that checks off more boxes than bringing in someone who was either mid-table or lower third of the table in the Premier League, who's looking for that boost up the table when it comes to getting another job.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Jared, I have somebody that you need to start following if you are not already.
Oh, no. Okay.
Luis Miguel Echegaray has said on CBS Sports HQ that Scotland is his dark horse to make a Cinderella run. Luis is good people. That's going out on a limb a little bit, though.
I choose to believe. Also, and thanks, Jason, for pointing this out. If you got The Athletic, go check out if you do want to buy into Scotland and
do it
and suffer along with me on this.
Do it.
Go check out. There's about a 20-minute tactical video about how Scotland's going to shoehorn Andy Robertson and Kieran Tierney on the field, and how McTominay can factor into it, and how guys can move around. Shea Adams being a part of the attacking side of things. It's a good little tactical breakdown. It's pretty cool, and also it's a fun little touch board he gets to play with.
I need one of those badly. That thing's like the tabletop like Pac-Man game from the 80s, except it's a touchscreen and it's soccer tactics. I need that thing.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you, Chris Farley.
We could never get you off of that thing.
Probably not.
You would just build another camera above you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
from the ceiling.
I'd build a
with
studio
tracking. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd absolutely build.
That's all that would happen.
I would 100% build a good studio for that. Switzerland, looking at the team set to travel the most kilometers at this bonkers Euro 2020. Everybody's taking shots at Copa America, and they should. The European Championships, traveling all over the continent right now, is not exactly genius either. Switzerland's going to travel over 20,000 kilometers during this tournament. What did Switzerland do to tick everybody off? Turkey and Ukraine are next, over 12,000 kilometers. Poland is right around 12. Belgium, as one of the favorites, is traveling right around 12,000 kilometers. That's a problem. Wales and Austria are next. Germany and Spain are on the lower end of the scale. And then you've got some that are playing pretty much at home the whole way. So Switzerland, keep that in mind when you're looking at your juice box numbers from time to time. There's a lot of travel involved, and you might want to check Belgium's travel ahead of a game because it's woof.
Yeah.
Woof, he says.
Yeah.
12,000 kilometers when you're one of the favorites in this tournament. Yeah, Belgium kind of got hosed.
Oh, man.
What is an average month of an MLS for travel, J-Dub asks? That's a good question. I'm going to have to do some miles to kilometers conversions and total things up. I'll have to figure that out. It can be significant depending on the schedule. The month that we had in 2019 where it was home on a weekend, then Vancouver in the midweek, then flew back to Atlanta, then Red Bull Arena on Sunday. I think there was a trip the next week or weekend as well. That was rough. I didn't know what my name was by the end of that. I think we did shows that week too, and I was probably incoherent.
Yeah, because you did, but I think we ended up doing either late morning, early afternoon lunchies, and then there was one I think that was an SDH PM that week just because of travel.
I'm sure. I'm sure that was it. But we also called. I called because I remember doing it. High school state championships that week too, because I did Vancouver. I landed Thursday morning, slept for a few hours. We didn't do a show Thursday. Drove to Macon. Did do 2 games from Mercer Thursday night, so I did games on opposite ends of the continent Wednesday, Thursday, and then we did games Friday, Saturday in Macon, did show Friday, and then flew to Red Bull Arena on Sunday morning, and it was an afternoon game. I was absolutely delirious. But, hey, that's what happens. I wasn't even playing, and I was delirious. The guys also didn't have to go do high school stuff in Macon like I did. But, it takes a toll on you. And keep an eye on Belgium. For a team that is expected to make noise in this tournament, Jarrett, Belgium's got a tough draw with that travel. And it will have an effect. You know, if it doesn't have an effect during the group stage and they get out of it and they get through it okay, those legs could get heavy later on.
They could, and it's going to be tough. But I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where it's going to be really tough on you. And it's not really fair, but Belgium, you're probably not going to get a lot of sympathy.
Oh, no, they're not going to get sympathy, but I'm just telling you, make sure you're looking at your juice boxes with Belgium. I would be careful with them.
God, Belgium's going to have to do all this travel, get through, win their group, and end up playing like Germany as the 3 seed coming out of the last group, then have to play Italy, It's going to be stupid. Or Belgium.
Yeah, it will be. Jose Mourinho is doing work with TalkSport during the Euros. I think he was on this morning and said some things that have gotten people riled up talking about England. He said first he would play Dean Henderson in goal. He said he has an arrogance in him, which I think an England goalkeeper needs. Okay. Left back, he'd go with Chilwell. He said he wouldn't think twice about it. And I think the comment that a lot of people have jumped on is he said Jack Grealish reminds him of Luis Figo, which is a very big compliment. And he talked a lot about Figo's hunger for the ball, demand for the ball, the swagger that he played with, and said Grealish reminds him of that, and he would be a first choice, no question about it, for him. Where do you fall on Jack Grealish, Jarrett, before you go? Because people have varying opinions about Jack Grealish. I actually agree more with Jose here. Like, he's a player that I would want in my team.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, Jose talks, and I think the temptation is these days to roll your eyes because of the way things have been going. But I don't think it's a matter of he hasn't forgotten how to recognize talent and recognize guys that fit in, and he's spent enough time in that country that I'm willing to take his word for it. And I do like that arrogance that comes with it.
Mm-hmm. I do too. What do you think about Grealish, John?
I think that when he's healthy, he is one of the most talented players out there. But it's like, and we talked about it this morning with, and this is just for the injury sake of the discussion, where we talked about Ezekiel Barco, we talked about Emerson Hyndman. You get all this momentum as a player, and then an injury happens, and then he's on the shelf, and then he's got to rebuild all that momentum all over again. What I'd love to see is a healthy Jack Grealish for a set period of time where you can really see what he's able to do as a forward. And so I think that you get a lot of run with him. I think he's one of the most talented guys out there, and he can be. It's just that for me, I always sit there and that the injury bug will just get him at the worst possible time, and all of that momentum that he's gotten as a player at Aston Villa ends up going backwards, and he's got to rebuild it all over again.
He's healthy. He's playing first choice for me, no question about it. I'm not worried about his injury history when I'm picking the lineup. If he's healthy, he's playing. He will move up to a bigger club, I think, sooner rather than later, because somebody's going to come in with the type of money that I think a player of his talent should get. He does have to stay healthy. There's no way around that. But, yeah, he's different. You know, he's got that Paul Gascoigne kind of thing for older English fans of he's not a typical English player. He comes at it from a different perspective. He's bold. He's aggressive. He can do things on the ball that just not many players in the world can. So, yeah, Grealish is special to me. I love the shout-out for Grealish. And yes, Coco, I know it's a shock, Jose Mourinho saying things and getting people riled up. He's really good for TalkSport, I think, because of that. So it'll be interesting to see what else he has to say.
Like I said, he gets people riled up. He might be kind of fading. I don't think he's forgotten how to recognize talent, though.
Oh, no, not at all. No, I'm still
going to take his word for these things.
Yeah, my issues with Jose are not about him getting people riled up or like understanding the game. I just think tactically he's gotten so defensive now that he's kind of lost who he is. And then when things get frustrating with a team, he gets sour really quick. Like, it's more personality stuff with him and fear with him. I think he started to coach scared. He gets the game as well as anybody currently. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's a funny guy. Like, his Instagram is very entertaining. But he's also not going to be afraid of saying something that gets people riled up. So, Jarrett, final thoughts on the day the Euros kick off and Copa America this weekend, and final thoughts before we kick you out for the week.
Should be a lot of fun. Enjoy the games today. You get Turkey and Italy later this afternoon. Nick Alifi will be.
He's yelling.
You can already hear him yelling.
Ranting in Italian already.
I already heard.
Yeah, he probably is. But yeah, enjoy it. It should be fun. We'll get a lot of games. There is an MLS game this weekend. Austin plays Sporting Kansas City. So if you kind of need your hit of MLS insanity, you'll get a small hit just to kind of get you over the line. Otherwise, enjoy the Enjoy the Euros, everybody.
Enjoy the chaos. Thanks, Jarrett. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
At Jarrett_Smith. And on Twitter, it's actually an underscore. On Instagram, you have to type out underscore.
Yes.
He likes to throw you off from time to time. All right, John, you got to tell us about our good friend over in Decatur, GA, Steve Apolinsky.
Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH network for wrongful death and serious injury matters. One place you need to go, it's Apolinsky and Associates, LLC. 3 different ways that you can do it. You can pick up the phone, get a free consultation, 404-377-9191. You can shoot Steve an email directly, steve at aa-legal.com, or you can go on the World Wide Web, large device or small, type in aa-legal.com in the address bar, hit the enter key, the return key, the arrow key, whatever advances you to the homepage for Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, and you can check out all the different cases they can handle for you and find out about all the different awards that they have won in their over 30 years of experience, garnering over $40 million for their clients in judgments in Georgia and Alabama. And if you still have questions about Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, with all the investigating that you would have been doing, a pop-up window has popped up in that process. And you can answer your questions or have your questions answered in the pop-up window, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up and they can help you answer your questions. Recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend Magazine for being one of the top 100 firms in this here state of Georgia for wrongful death and serious injury matters. One place you need to go, it's Apolinsky and Associates, LLC. The website is aa-legal.com.
Mike Conti got to hear most of that. What kind of score are you giving, John?
Well, I feel like the tutorial on how a pop-up window works probably put that from like an 8.5 to a 9.
Oh, really? You like that?
Oh, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are way too hard on John with these reads sometimes. I think John does a terrific job with it.
You haven't heard all of them, but that one was really good. There's a few that go off the rails from time to time. It happens.
The longer the read, the more off the rails it goes, and then the scores become more adventurous at that point.
He's got a 10 on the board. He's got a 9.7, a 9.69, a 7.4, but Coco says not a fan of the typing fingers. The visual maybe throws it off a little bit there. Mr. Fantastic, a 20 out of 20. Sean Vergara is very tough on John, a 5.456. Sean Vergara, we think, represents East Germany in the judging. We think. 10 out of 10 from Tommy. Nick gives a 10. All right, pretty good scores today. John. Not bad. Not a bad way to close out the week. Mike,
who was the judge who rigged the Salt Lake City Olympics, the figure skating? Was it the French judge?
Oh, that's
who rigged it against the Canadian Paris figure skaters?
Let's see. Rigged
I remember
judging
that vaguely.
Salt Lake City.
One day we'll get John a quieter keyboard.
Yeah, 2002, it was alleged that the figure skating had been fixed. Original winners Bereshnaya and Sukarolidze, and original silver medalists Soleil and Peltier. Yeah, and it apparently caused a change in the ISU judging system.
Yeah, but I think it was the French judge that was colluding with the Russians. I'm almost positive. Like they had some kind of suicide pact where if the French judge voted for the Russians in pairs, the Russian judge was going to vote for, I think, a French competitor in either the men's or the women's singles. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, you're right on.
Amazing.
The French judge Marie-Laine Lagoon was viewed with suspicion when she returned to the officials' hotel. The chair of the ISU technical committee confronted her. The judge had an emotional breakdown, which she allegedly said she had been pressured by the head of the French skating organization to vote for the Russian pair regardless of how the others performed. Reportedly repeated this at the post-event judges meeting the next day. It was alleged it was part of a deal to get an advantage for the French couple Anisina and Pezarat in the ice dance competition that was to follow a few days later. However, in a later signed statement, the judge denied taking part in such a deal and also stated she truly believed the Russian pair deserved to win.
Yeah, well, she was wrong. And Sean Vergara is the French judge.
Sean said he just calls it like he sees it. That's all.
Well, apparently the French judge did as well.
Yeah, it might have been motivated to call it a certain way. not the best of finishes to the week in the Atlanta United world with yesterday's news on Heinemann. Joseph being called up to Copa America, we were expecting. Ronald Hernandez was a bit of a surprise, and we've kind of went through what the next couple of months could look like. With Joseph and Hernandez gone, I'm expecting, and this is a little bit of projection on how far Venezuela can go, the tournament format, I don't think they're back until July 8th at the earliest, the Nashville game away.
Yeah.
That's right around the time you got the U.S. men's national team call-ups for the Gold Cup, probably a few days before. There is a minimum amount of time that you have to release a player ahead of a tournament when they're called up. It's 5 or 7 days. It's kind of moved around over the years. I can't remember which one it is currently. So that could be right around the time that I think Miles Robinson is a safe assumption for that U.S. roster in the Gold Cup, which won't be the A roster. It won't be a lot of the guys that we saw over the last week. It'll be more of a MLS-based roster. Brooks Lennon's a possibility. George Bello's a possibility for that. I think Heinemann would have been a possibility, actually. I think he absolutely could have been a possibility for that. So it might get Joseph and Ronald Hernandez back right as other guys go out the door. You got to solve the Heinemann absence in the midfield. It's going to be an interesting next couple of months, Mike.
Yeah, and help me out on this because someone was asking me about Barco on Twitter. Barco does come back for a short bit of time before he goes to the Olympics, right? He's not out until August, correct?
No, that would not be my assumption at all. The Olympics start, John, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was July 23rd on the men's soccer tournament.
And it goes through the 11th, I think.
Of August, yeah. But it starts later in July. That is not a mandated call-up at all, and the amount of time that you release the player ahead of time is not mandated. So, that could be a situation where, he's playing. I actually haven't seen the lineup. I think the game kicked off just a few minutes ago in Spain as the Argentine U23s are playing Saudi Arabia today, and it was expected that Barco would get the start in that because he didn't start the other game. Actually, I have it right now. He is starting. Wearing the number 11 against Saudi Arabia right now, and kickoff has just started. He's starting with quite a few talented young players who are getting a lot of attention. Some of them have already moved on to Europe. That's where Argentina rates Barco. I would not imagine that they would allow him to be away until the Olympics are over. I haven't really heard that yet, and I don't know. I don't think Argentina's announced any kind of a training camp or something for that long of a time. The guys who are playing domestically in Argentina are not in competition right now. Their league won't start until, I think, late July. So it is kind of a weird situation. I'm with you, though, Mike. I think he comes back and then probably leaves in mid-July or the second week of July or something like that. That's my assumption.
I'm just trying to work the flow chart here where I agree. I mean, Venezuela, as long as they're fourth place or better in their group of 5, they're going to be playing through at least July 3rd. So, that's at the very least. I mean, if they were to win a knockout match, then, it could go another week. Yeah. So at the very least, Joseph, and we're talking about him returning, not even being, in a training situation. Yeah, I don't know what the reentry protocols are. I don't know if Joseph is vaxxed. I'm assuming he is, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm making the assumption because we were led to believe most, if not all, Atlanta United players had been vaxxed when they went to the stadium. So, look, I don't know what the reentry protocols are. I don't know if Joseph has to quarantine or do anything like that. But at approximately the time that Joseph would be back, and again, best case, very best case, it'd be worst case for Venezuela, but best case, you're looking at for that July 3rd match. Not long after that, you could be looking at Barco leaving, and I agree with you on Miles Robinson. I think George Bello is a possibility as well. And then you've got to solve the whole Heinemann thing, too. So here's the good news. Atlanta United's a very deep team. There have been times this year where it's been very, very hard for certain players to even get into the match day 20 because Heinze has a lot of good options right now. Well, now you're going to have to lean on that depth. And it's going to be difficult. And the absence that concerns me the most is the absence of Joseph. look, the Hyndman thing is a big blow because he had been playing very, very well. And I don't think enough people were talking about how well Emerson Hyndman was playing this year. I thought he had played extremely well in the first 2.5 months of the season. That is a colossal blow for someone who's playing well. However, you do have Rossetto, hopefully back in fitness and ready to contribute. And you have some other players, too, who can play in that attacking midfield role. And you can even move some pieces around a little bit and make it work. So, it's not necessarily 100% like for like, but you have a number of options to deal with the Hyndman absence. If Miles Robinson is called into Gold Cup, okay, you're going to see more of Alan Franco and Anton Walks. That doesn't scare me. In fact, I embrace that. And you have depth there, too. That could put someone like a Bryce Washington into play.
Oh, sorry. My bad. That's me.
Is that a Polandia ad? What happened?
No, I wish. That'd be awesome. No, it was they played a clip, but it's just of the anthem. I am checking something for this Argentine U23s. I believe Barco might be captaining the squad.
Okay. No, that'd be very cool.
Yeah, I think it just shows their thought of where he is. Because, you've got Adolfo Gaich, who is playing in Italy right now, who is on loan from, I believe, a Russian club. I think he was at CSKA Moscow. There's a bunch of players who have high profiles with this group. And, yeah, Barco's the captain today.
Yeah, no, I'm watching what you just tweeted. He's last on the line next to the goal, standing next to the referee. So he is the captain.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Very cool. Anyhow, so
sorry. I see it now. They did it differently. The captain's on the other end.
Wow.
Oh,
that's weird that Barco's on the other end of the goalkeeper on that end, but yeah, the captain's on the far end. It looks like one of the defenders. That's weird.
Yeah, I see the armband. Yeah, number 2.
That threw me completely.
Nuhan, or I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Nuhan Perez would be the captain then. That's weird. Why did they line up that way?
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry about that. It completely threw me off.
Maybe they lined up in alphabetical order. I don't know. Anyhow, so look, if Miles goes to Gold Cup, I think that'd be a great experience for him. You have Walks, you have Alan Franco, and I really do think George Campbell is ready to play in MLS.
I agree.
Bryce Washington could fit into this mix. Josh Bauer could fit into this. You're going to be okay. If you lose Bello, that gets a little bit tricky. Probably puts more on a Mikey Ambrose. Mm-hmm. But Ambrose has been here before. He can do it.
Homegrown signing Caleb Wiley. Let's go.
There you go.
Hey, look, I'm all for it. And I want to ask you something about Eden McFadden here in a second.
Yeah.
Joseph's the one that concerns me.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at 5 matches without Joseph, you would think that would probably mean a lot of work for Cubo Torres.
Right.
I think Jackson Conway needs to play more, but I don't know how Heinze and the staff rates him right now. Look, Cubo Torres and Joseph Martinez are just at different levels right now. And it's not a slight on Cubo Torres, who's been an outstanding soldier for Atlanta United, a great guy, and someone who does a lot of dirty work in the midfield that a lot of strikers don't really like to do, I'm sure, but he does it. So he's a good player, but it's a big drop-off. And that, to me, is one of my major concerns here coming up over the next really 4 or 5 matches, is how's Atlanta United going to press on without Joseph? Now, here's my question about Ian McFadden, guys. Okay, because I'm trying to think now, all right, with Hyndman out, how are these dominoes going to fall? And how's Atlanta United going to address his absence in the midfield? And I would imagine Franco Ibarra is probably going to be part of that plan.
Yes.
I know Aiden McFadden has been playing right back with the 2s, but we also know he's been a central attacking midfielder in his career.
A little bit. More of a winger, but a little bit.
Okay, but still, a midfielder who can play out wide or play centrally. Is it possible, A, that McFadden has played himself into consideration for a first-team call-up? And B, is he part of the option going forward without Hyndman now, because I'm going to presume with a torn ACL, Hyndman is not going to play again this year.
Yeah. It'd be a little bit of a stretch to put McFadden in there, but that's where you are right now. You might take a chance on somebody like a McFadden centrally. We talked about it earlier. I think like for like, Robbie Mertz is more of a like for Hyndman in terms of what he brings to the table. He's been all right, and he trained with the first team. He was with the group when they played Charleston in the joint training exercise. But then he had an injury. He's back into the team now. He's playing 90 minutes. He was, I thought, pretty good on Wednesday. I thought he was involved in the attacking half. Moving McFadden there would be a big ask for a young pro. I wouldn't put him through that. I could absolutely see them signing McFadden, though, because now with Hernandez away and Gurr gone, Walks is the depth for Lennon on the right side, the most natural depth at right back. Walks is a very different kind of player in terms of playing right back. He's not going to be as high up the field at times. McFadden would be, and he's doing the exact same thing with the twos. We saw how they used him on Wednesday, where he was the outlet almost as a winger in the build-up play. That's pretty similar to how Lennon is. So I think McFadden could get signed, but not to solve that issue. He'd be more of the depth on the right side. There are supplemental spots because Gurr is not in one now, and Lisandro Lopez is not in one now. So there are a couple to work with. I think there was one more already, but it's a little hard to follow. There's at least two that we know of because two guys are gone. And
you also get injury relief if you put Hyndman on season-ending injury. Long-term, yeah. You're past the primary transfer window, so you don't necessarily get budget relief, but you do get a roster spot.
Yeah, you can get that for the secondary transfer window. We don't know how much budget is available, and that's always the question when it comes to moves and making moves. There will be some possibilities for some wheeling and dealing, I think, within the league when that window opens up in July, and also outside of the league. There have been rumors so far. There have been some possibilities of things, and we'll just have to see where it goes.
I think the other player that gets forgotten about a lot is Mo Adams.
Yeah.
Who is reportedly close to coming back.
Guys, I'm going to leave you to it for just a minute, okay?
Mo Adams has been listed as questionable, I think, for the last couple matches, league matches at least. He has not been in the match day 20, but there are indications that Mo Adams is getting closer to returning. So he would be part of this mix, too, as you try to, I guess, find a plan going forward for Emerson Hyndman. But, I mean, John, you guys have seen Aiden enough now to know what he is and is not capable of doing. Yeah. I really like him. Yeah, and he feels like someone who, maybe against expectations with it happening this quickly, but he feels like someone who's ready to go the way that he's playing right now to maybe get a first-team call-up.
Yeah, and I think a lot of folks have made the comparison to John Gallagher and with Aiden McFadden. And I think that just with time, what we're seeing with McFadden is someone who will win you the duel in the air, and Alec can or whoever's in net will continue to feed that, and they'll see that he can jump. He's got an engine that will go for the full 90 minutes. He's played every single minute of every single match this year for Atlanta United too. Leads them in games, started, played in minutes. So you know that he's going to be out there for full time. But to see McFadden develop to where he is now, I think that obviously there's a big upside for McFadden. But yeah, John Gallagher, and not just because of the Notre Dame thing, but you're seeing a lot of those same connections and a lot of those same sections being punched when it comes to the dossier for McFadden.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the feeling that I got. When I heard about Emerson yesterday, I think anytime you get news like that, you immediately think, okay, well, what can you do now? And I think, again, fortunately for Atlanta United, this is a little bit more, I guess, plentiful of an option to deal with, say, a Hyndman going down as opposed to, again, Joseph. I mean, Joseph is the one guy where right now, I mean, you're probably in a little bit better position depth-wise this year than you were last when he got. But Joseph being out for 4 or 5 matches is a major, major, major blow. And, you're down to Cubo Torres and Jackson Conway there. With Hyndman getting hurt, you have, as I said, Ibarra. You have Josetu. You have Mo Adams, who could be absolutely a part of this. And there are also things you can do with Barco and Moreno to move them around. I'm sure. There's a lot of different ways that Heinze can deal with the loss of Emerson Hyndman. I just hate it for the player because he's someone who was having such a good year. And again, I don't think got talked about enough for how well he had been playing the first 2.5 months of the season.
Yeah. And you mentioned your biggest worry is not having Joseph for basically a month. We talked about Cubo Torres and Jackson Conway in the first hour. And in Jackson, we saw in CONCACAF Champions League last year in Orlando, once again, we talked to him here on the show, and we've seen him develop and grow. There's someone there, and we got into the difference between cockiness and confidence, and Jackson is definitely someone who is not intimidated by his surroundings and is showing a lot of the latter, and this could be a big opportunity for both him and Kubo up top.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see it. I just don't know how they rate him. I rate him very highly.
Mike, I was trying to explain this. I feel like it's actually a positive that they haven't sent him to play for the twos much. I think he played one game early on. I think we saw him almost come into a match. He's been part of 18s. He's not in that in-between where he's not making 18s, but he's not playing for the twos. He's just not playing for the twos, but he's part of rosters, and he's part of game days, and he's traveling with the team. I do think they rate him. I don't know, maybe I'm trying to piece together things here, but in these kinds of situations where Joseph's out, it's two guys. It's Kubo, it's Jackson. Those are your two most obvious options up top. I think it'll be one of the two. I think it's easier, and we saw it with Franco Ibarra getting starts. I think it's easier for the young player to start and the veteran to come off the bench. And in these situations, I think Jackson not playing Wednesday was an absolute tell that he will be part of these next couple of games. Couldn't risk him getting injured.
Right. And
if he is, because it's going to be Philadelphia Sunday, New York City on Wednesday. It's going to be quick. I think both are going to have to play. Jackson starting, going as far as he can, maybe 60-plus would be the ideal. Because as we've talked to all of these young guys when they get those first games, 60 minutes feels like 120 because of the mental stress and the fatigue and the pace of the game and all that. So if he can get you past 60 and start him, and then Kubo, we know what he's going to give you off the bench. That might be the way to play this. And I think they do rate Jackson pretty well. Just he hasn't been quite at that level to be an option off the bench on a regular basis.
Well, and match situations also haven't necessarily permitted him to come in either. I mean, you bring up a really good point. They were going to bring him in against Montreal, and then they pulled it back.
Yep.
You're right. They probably have had plans to play him by now, and just things have happened. Just feels like a pretty big leap to go from not playing at all to starting.
I don't know. If he hadn't had so much time in USL Championship, and I know that recent history, it's he hasn't played much. He doesn't have a lot of pro experience. He's close to 50 games in the championship because he was back there. I forgot that he was making appearances as an academy player in 2018 at Coolray, and then signed the pro deal and was 2 years as a pro with the twos in 19 and 20. And he had some injuries that slowed him down, but he's produced, he's scored, I think he's ready. I think he's ready to take this opportunity. And when that door opens, sometimes you don't know when it's going to happen. And for a young player, they have to make the most of it. Now it's going to be on him.
Yeah. I hope he gets the opportunity because I think he can help them. Those are your two options right now. It's Kubo or Jackson Conway. There's not going to be enough time to make a trade or...
Can't make one right now. I have to wait till July.
Couldn't you make an inter-league or intra-league trade? Not even that?
I don't believe so. The MLS has kind of went back and forth on this stuff. I believe there's no roster moves available until the window opens, I think they only allow roster moves in the windows in the offseason.
Gotcha. All right. Well, then this is it. We'll see. We'll just have to see. And look, there are a lot of different things that Heinze can do in terms of positioning that could also make Joseph's loss a little less impactful. We're just going to have to see. Remember, too, Philadelphia, Jose Martinez, he's going to be up at Copa America. So it's not like Atlanta United's the only team affected by this right now. There are a lot of teams around the league that are going to be dealing with this, including Atlanta United's next opponent.
Yeah, Copa America, we do have the list now of MLS players who have been called up. Atlanta, Portland, Orlando, and LAFC are the teams with 2 players called up. Chicago, DC, Nashville, NYC, Red Bulls, Philly, and San Jose and Seattle all have a player called up. And, there's some significant ones. Portland's missing Jimmy Chara and Felipe Mora, like most of their attack. Orlando's missing Pedro Galese and Sebastian Mendez, 2 hugely important players. Cáceres missing for the Red Bulls. He's having a great season. Callan's missing for NYC, and that's somebody that Atlanta will see very soon.
Along with Cáceres. So Cáceres and Callan's are both going to miss matches against Atlanta United.
Yep. Jonder Cadiz is going to be on that same trip back with Joseph and Ronald Hernandez. So when he's back, they're back. A lot of teams missing significant pieces. It's a sign of where the league is. Gold Cup, then in July, you're going to have, I think, more than this of teams missing pieces.
Way more.
Yeah.
Way more. I think that Gold Cup roster, especially for the U.S. men's national team, is going to be very MLS heavy. And I'd imagine, Mexico's probably going to be looking at Vela, Pulido.
Ooh, probably not Vela. That's a soap opera in Mexico these days.
Okay, well then Pulido and Dos Santos.
Don't want to ask Tata about Vela.
Canada's probably going to have quite a few.
Yep. Honduras will have quite a few.
Honduras. And then correct me if I'm wrong, I think Atlanta United plays Toronto during the Gold Cup, right? So
I haven't looked that far ahead. I think so.
Yeah. So, look, this is all going to even out. This is one of the necessary evils of playing a summer schedule. It is what it is, and it's a necessary evil if you're going to be a big club with lots of good players. It's not just Atlanta United, obviously. It's a lot of others, but these things happen. It's out of your control. You got to play through it. Atlanta United played through it pretty well in 2019 when they had a lot of guys out. They played through it pretty well. Not perfectly. They got absolutely shelled by Chicago. They had that wild match in Toronto, which should have been a draw. It ended up being a loss. But they still played through it pretty well in 2019. So I'm going to try to stay optimistic here that they're going to be able to get through this okay.
Random question on a Friday, Mike. Why is Clint Capella so disrespected in the NBA circles?
Well, I don't know. I almost blurted out because he plays for the Atlanta Hawks, but
that would be the correct answer.
I hope it's not that. Look, the Hawks are just not on national TV a lot. There's a panel of 100 media members who vote on all those awards, and most of them only look at box scores. They don't get a chance to watch all 30 teams because it's hard. It's hard to spend time night after night watching every team in the league. So you have a lot of people who just look at box scores. And the Hawks have been on national TV, I think, 3 times this year prior to the playoffs. And I think Capella didn't even play in one of those games. So it is what it is. You try not to get angry about it. I just don't know how someone who led the league in rebounds and was third in the league in blocks ends up 6th in Defensive Player of the Year. I don't get that.
That makes no sense.
That's why I was asking.
No sense, but hey, nothing you can do about it.
No sense at all. I was waiting for Byrne to ask a question about the Hawks this weekend, so I'll go ahead and ask it. What are you thinking?
Tonight's a really big game. If the Hawks win tonight, then I think they're feeling pretty good about Monday and maybe getting complete control of the series. If the Hawks lose tonight, I think the Hawks are going to be in some trouble. look, they're what's the record? I think 35-10 without DeAndre Hunter since March 1st, or maybe it's 25-10. I'm sorry, 25-10 without DeAndre Hunter since March 1st. So they can win games without DeAndre Hunter, but there's no doubt he would help them in this series. I think Philadelphia has finally figured out some defensive mismatches now, and it's just going to be really, really hard for the Hawks to find an answer on, say, Tobias Harris if Solomon Hill is going to have to start, because he is going to be starting, I think. There's just too many mismatches right now that Philadelphia's been able to exploit. So if Philadelphia gets a win tonight on the road, retakes the home court advantage, then I think the Hawks are going to be in some trouble. It's a big, big game tonight. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be very competitive.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Hopefully it's fun because of a win, but I'm sure you and Steve will have some fun rocking and rolling on this one.
You know what? Yes, no matter what happens, because 3 months ago, I was not expecting the Hawks to be in the playoffs, let alone in the second round, let alone winning a game in the second round against the number one seed. So as far as I'm concerned, this is all gravy right now, and I'm going to sit back and enjoy this young Hawks team trying to throw some more haymakers as the underdog against Philadelphia. I think that's the one thing we've kind of forgotten. The Hawks are the underdogs in this series. You know, a lot of people got upset after what happened on Tuesday night. Philadelphia is supposed to win the series, okay? They are supposed to win. They're the number one seed. So whatever the Hawks can do tonight to keep this competitive, I'm going to enjoy it no matter what.
So you're not going to be with us next week. You're going to be taking a vacation. You will still be on games and such, so don't freak out, everybody.
There will be no true vacation. That's thanks to the NBA. So I'll be in town, but I'm going to try to disconnect as best I can for the next week.
A half vacation staycation. I do have to ask, what is your plan to work the grill? Because I know you got something in mind.
Honestly, okay, so I mean, I'll be totally transparent with you guys. I'm actually going to leave town tomorrow.
Okay.
Leanne and I are going to go home for 48 hours, so like home, Pennsylvania, and then honestly, I'm not going to grill Monday or Wednesday because I have Hawks games. Tuesday, I think we're going to go out, and Thursday we rented a boat at Lake Lanier. So cool. I got to be honest with you. I don't think I'm going to be grilling much over the next week, and that's okay.
I'm disappointed.
That is okay with me.
So you're going to put the notion of a haunted Lake Lanier aside, and you're going to go out on the water.
People are freaking out about Lake Lanier.
Look, I mean, I'll be on a boat, and I know how to swim. So, and we're not even getting like a high horsepower boat. We're getting a pontoon boat. Like, there's very little you can do to mess that up, right?
Reaction in the Twitch page.
Yeah.
People are worried about your safety.
I think I appreciate the concern. I think the vast majority of people who go to Lake Lanier every day come out alive. So I'm willing to roll the dice on that.
Oh, boy. Okay.
We could switch it to Alatoona, though.
That might be
I think
best.
they have some rentals up there, too. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, maybe just to stay safe.
Yeah, DM Tim says famous last words, can't mess up a pontoon boat.
How can you, like, seriously, there's 60 horsepower. Like, how can you mess up a pontoon boat?
Famous last words, I'm not worried about Lanier.
I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not worried about Lake Lanier at all. But if this is my final Soccer Down Here appearance, I just want you all to know that I appreciate the interaction and the chance to talk about soccer with you guys twice a week.
Well, and now apparently Sean Vergara and Will are fighting over your smoker now.
What, if I go down in Lake Lanier, someone gets the egg?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's yeah. You guys should draft a will between now and
that's the basic idea from some of these folks. We'll be talking to you. Have a good call on Hawks because it's going to be a wild one tonight, I think.
All right. Yeah, I think it will, too. I'm enjoying it. And guys, have a great weekend. I might pop on with you guys next week.
Maybe be like Jared.
Just anytime
you parachute in.
Well, no, I mean, if I survive the lake next Thursday, I'll come on Friday and just confirm my well-being.
That might be necessary. Thanks, Mike.
All right. See you guys.
Be good.
Ay, Dios mío. Chaos.
Oh,
Mike Conti 99 on Twitter. All right. Lots of stuff to get into. It's a Freestyle Friday, so you guys can bounce us into whatever you want to bounce us into. I'm going to get caught up on some of the news of the day coming in, and we'll get caught up on everything else as well. MLS side of things, Fabio, the 6'4" Brazilian forward who hasn't scored a goal yet, who has been very good, though, for the New York Red Bulls on loan, that has been extended for the rest of the season. So Fabio will be around when Atlanta United plays the Red Bulls here coming up. There's reports of a rebrand in New England, and people are freaking out about it in different ways. Some people are okay with it. Some people are angry about it. I don't hate the new logo. It's better than some of the other new logos that have been around there. I don't think it's necessary because I actually do like the Revolution look. If they do move into a different direction, I hope they keep the original logo involved in some form or fashion because it has survived the test of time. There's a lot of people who don't like that logo. So, I mean, I think they're the ones who are liking the idea of the new logo. It's a new logo. It is what it is. Like, if it was the original logo, I don't think anybody would really be saying anything negative about it if that was what they started with in 96. That is not where MLS was in terms of branding in 1996.
Right.
They did not go in that direction at all. Now they are going with more of those traditional classic kind of looks. It's fine. It's fine. I don't really care. I wasn't riled up about it either way. I just don't want them to go away from the crayon flag look. I hope they keep it. Byrne said the logo made me think of Reformation Brewery. I know a lot of people referenced Rangers and QPR, I think, with the logo as well. Coco, I did not admit to liking the Revs. I admitted to liking their logo. There's a difference. Do not start narratives, Coco. We're going to have a conversation about this. The logo's fine. The old logo was fine. The new logo's it's pretty much fine. It is. It's okay. It's better than okay. It's all right.
I mean, like I said, I've always been around with the crayon flag, and so that to me is that's how I've just been locked in on this. And then you bring in Rangers /QPR or whatever, and to me, like I said, it's just like you're taking something from overseas and you're integrating it into what you're looking like now.
But that's what a lot of people have wanted.
Just keep the flag. Keep the flag, and I'm okay.
But what you just said is what a lot of people have wanted. They don't want the Americanized soccer styling. They want the especially European style football branding. That's what a lot of people in this country want. And look, you're never going to, with any of these things, any rebrand, any logo, any branding initiative, it's almost impossible to get 100% positive on it.
Correct.
It's just not going to happen.
Absolutely.
Rebrands are going to be 50-50 at best, it seems like. So, at least this one is better. Will says, in a vacuum, new badge is top 10, maybe top 5 in the league. I wouldn't go that far. Top 10 I could see. It's fine. It's fine. I just like the old one, but it's fine. It's a lot better than Columbus. Absolutely, Coco. It's a whole lot better. Byrne, that's a good point. They did the Brazilian look is also mixed in here too, but that's also heavily English influenced. The Flamengo, Fluminense, like very stylized letters and fonts. Like that's definitely something they got from English teams. Heavy English influence in Brazilian football coming up. So I agree. I like the Houston stuff better. This one is even more in that very old school looking that. Look, the Silverbacks did it too back in 2014. They did the exact same kind of thing, and everybody accused them of doing a baseball logo. I think people said the same about the Houston Dynamo logo, and you could say the same about this one. I don't hate it. It's fine. The Save the Crayon thing would be better, though. Jason Nix, That's about how I am about it. Can we get a Save the Crayon movement? No? Okay, I tried. It's kind of like, keep it for something. But if you don't, I'm not going to cry about it. That's for Revolution fans to argue about. Shooter McGavin will come in and be riled up about it one way or the other, and I'm waiting to see. U.S. women's national team last night, not exactly great. 1-0 over Portugal. Sam Mewis scored in the 76th minute. They do keep their 40 straight unbeaten streak going. 54 straight unbeaten on American soil. Jamaica beat Nigeria in the earlier match on Thursday. U.S. will play Jamaica on Sunday. Nigeria and Portugal will play before that. These are exhibition games to get ready for the Tokyo Olympics. There's work to do. They didn't look great. They struggled against a team that's not all that great in Portugal. It's early days. We'll see as it comes together. I do want to see what the roster ends up being, because remember, this is a smaller roster than a World Cup roster, and Vlatko Andonovski is going to have some tough choices to make. I think Alex Morgan has absolutely played herself back into that situation, and who has gone from the last World Cup roster is my question, let alone like anything else. Who is not going to make it from that last World Cup roster, and is there anybody who has emerged since? Christy Mewis seems to be the one to me that is going to be hard to keep off, but whose spot does she take?
Yep.
I have to wait and see.
You got 25 down to 18. That's the big task for Vlatko Andonovski.
Stuff with the Euros, I think it was 23 down to 18, not 20.
I was including Ertz and Heath, even though they're coming off injuries.
Oh, okay. UEFA Euros getting started today, 3 o'clock, Turkey and Italy. Dutch defender Matthias de Ligt is hoping to be able to play on Sunday. Another one to keep in mind when you're talking about the juice boxes. The Netherlands plays Ukraine on Sunday. Did not play Georgia in the final warm-up game. De Ligt has been training apart from the group, hopeful for being ready for Game 1. That would be a big boost to Frank de Boer and the Netherlands. Russia will be missing midfielder Andrei Mostovoy. He is out after testing positive for COVID, has been replaced on the roster by Roman Evgeniev. This is going to be an ongoing conversation with the Euros and people testing positive.
Yep.
We mentioned Copa America. The Supreme Court did give the go-ahead to do this thing. They have argued that it is not safe to do so. The games are going to be played behind closed doors. Teams are facing mandatory testing every 48 hours. Movements are restricted. Travel to host cities aboard chartered flights. I know, for example, Argentina is not even staying in Brazil. They are basing themselves at their headquarters and flying in for games and then flying out immediately after games. So that's going to be what some of these countries do. It's just awkward and crazy and weird, and now you've got sponsors pulling out, and CONMEBOL needs the money, but there's not going to be any attendance money. There's going to be possibly some less sponsorship money unless, I don't know. I mean these companies might not be able to break their contract. They just might not activate at it. That's, I think, what MasterCard said is actually really important, that they are not activating their sponsorship. Yeah. I don't think they can withhold money unless it's tied into the activation and the deal and this and that. So CONMEBOL might be going to court with some of these folks. Argentina is waiting on an update on Lucas Alario from Bayer Leverkusen. He is injured. They're waiting scans on his thigh injury to see how bad it is. They want to replace him with Julian Alvarez of River Plate, but he was not on the preliminary roster. It's kind of a gray area with CONMEBOL about you can make replacements, but do they have to be on the preliminary roster to be eligible for a replacement? It's CONMEBOL. Who knows? They might make up a new rule in crayon before the day's out. Silly season updates. Tyler Adams reportedly is getting interest from Arsenal, according to The Athletic. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought he would have been a player that would have fit with what Mikel Arteta is trying to do at Arsenal, but I'm intrigued by that one. I don't know if RB Leipzig sells, but I'm intrigued. I don't know about that one. Jadon Sancho, reportedly, £67 million bid has been turned down from Manchester United to Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund wants about £10.5 million more, with an additional £4.25 million bonus payment on top. United want to pay that amount over 5 years. Dortmund wants it over 4 years. United are now considering whether to revise their offer. Yay. That keeps on going. Robert Lewandowski, according to AS, could be a candidate for a move to Real Madrid. He said something in an interview about how, I wouldn't mind exploring a new country and learning a new language and yada, yada, yada. And AS is saying that he could be interested in a change of club. Possibly.
Where's AS based?
They're based in Madrid, or they're based in Spain. AS, I believe, is based in Madrid, but they're not the pro Real Madrid paper. That's Marca.
Okay.
We'll see. Real Madrid reportedly, it depends on who you talk to. Some people say they don't have money, they'd have to sell players to have money. Other people say they have money and they're probably not going to spend it because they're not going to be able to get Mbappe or Haaland. If they have money and they could spend it and Lewandowski was interested, okay, maybe, but there's a lot of ifs in all that. We'll see. Speaking of RB Leipzig, Alexander Sorloth could be going out on loan. He scored 5 goals in 29 games in his first season in Germany. Not exactly great. I think, Bernd, we were talking about this at one point. You didn't feel like Sorloth was a fit for what Jesse Marsch is going to want to do. Norwegian internationals linked with a move back to Trabzonspor, where he played 2019-20 on loan. Bild is saying it's not going to go back to Turkey. RB Leipzig paid €29 million to sign him from Crystal Palace last summer. That's a waste of money on 5 goals and 29 appearances. Can they find somewhere to send him? Stay tuned. Gabriel Jesus could be going to Juventus, according to La Gazzetta dello Sport, and they might not even wait to see if Cristiano Ronaldo leaves. They might just go ahead and go get him. Juve wants him on loan with an option to buy or an obligation to buy. City is open to selling, but they want to sell. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Feels like silly season talk to me. Another favorite of the SDH universe, Nicolas Gonzalez of Stuttgart, is reportedly in advanced negotiations with Fiorentina. €20 million, which feels like a really good deal. Sky Sport Italia said that they are whittling down the difference. Somewhere between €20 million and €23 to €24 million is where this is going to go. There could be bonuses that bridge that. He's played on the left wing primarily, but he can be a striker, can be a central player. 2 goals and 5 caps for Argentina. He's pushed Di Maria out of the team. 6 goals and 15 Bundesliga appearances this season. Muscle tear in February. He's been out for the rest of the time. So Nicolas Gonzalez could be moving to Gennaro Gattuso's Fiorentina. What was that giggle about?
I think of Gattuso and I just go straight to press conference. That's all I do.
Okay, thanks. Sport in Barcelona is sharing some quotes from Xavi Hernandez. Xavi he's in Barcelona right now because he's on a summer break, talking about his aim to be Barcelona's coach at some point. He said, "I am always on the market. I want to make it clear that I feel prepared to coach Barca, although the media and other sectors say the opposite. I haven't spoken with Laporta for 3 or 4 months. He's decided that the best thing is that Koeman continues in charge, and you have to respect that. I have a very good relationship with Joan." Xavi's the next manager at Barcelona. It just is. Now, Barcelona did let their second-team manager go, and there was some expectation that they would then go bring Xavi in to be that manager. Xavi's not taking the B team. Like that's not going to happen. So he's going to stay at Al Sadd and probably continue to make a very large check every couple of weeks or every month. And he's going to coach there. When the time comes at Barca, he will then be in Barcelona. He's not going to run the B team in place. Like, he doesn't need to do that. Pep did that as his first coaching job. Others have done that kind of run as their first coaching job. Xavi's coaching. He doesn't need to go there. He's not going to Tottenham for a card. It's not happening. He's not going to Everton either, Ropes. Don't even get that one going. Ain't happening. Barcelona, along with other clubs, I think Tottenham is on this list right now of clubs saying to guys that they don't really count on, like, yeah, you can go find a deal, leave. We'll sell you. Go talk to people, have fun. Lenglet and Umtiti are 2 for Barcelona that they're trying to get rid of. Tottenham, I don't know if they've said who yet, but a number of players have been told that they can leave. Serge Aurier has already announced that he wants to leave. Tottenham has brought in some cash. Juan Foyth, permanent move to Villarreal. They took up the option on that. Marcus Edwards, they're going to get some money on a 50% sell-on with him moving from Vitoria to Sporting Lisbon. It's another £5 million. So about £17 million, over €20 million it's looking like that they're going to bring in so far. They've got more money that they're going to try to bring in on guys who are getting near the end of their deals. Their priority, according to Alasdair Gold of Football London, is a new centre back. and any money they brought in is going to solve that one first. Newcastle, Alex Pacine, haven't seen you this morning yet, but you might want to keep up with Lee Ryder of the Chronicle.
Mm-hmm.
The legal battle is really getting underway today as Mike Ashley begins a double-barreled fight to push through the takeover that he agreed to with Amanda Stavely and her consortium last April. This is just the beginning of it. It's not actually going to make a decision, but it's going to kind of set the pathway for doing this. So it's the beginning of the Competition Appeal Tribunal, as he is staking a claim against the Premier League for blocking the sale. Ashley's people have been briefed with confidence that they will get the result fans are hoping for and that the Premier League were wrong not to approve the sale that would have ended with Stavely and her consortium in charge. The Premier League, it is believed, will try to make an application today that this Competition Appeal Tribunal claim should not go ahead. Ashley will get a chance to have their say on it. That could take until the end of the month, end of June, or longer. There's a separate legal fight regarding arbitration where Ashley is set to argue that his sale to the group would not have resulted in Newcastle being a state-owned club. That looks kind of messy. The PIF's Yasir Al-Rumayyan was set to oversee the operation, not the state. That gets a little messy.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, the Premier League is going to challenge the jurisdiction of that Competition Appeal Tribunal claim. They feel like the arbitration thing should take precedence. I think they probably feel like they have a better argument there than they do on the other one. Ashley wants the Competition Appeal Tribunal claim to go through. He thinks they have a better route that way. He also thinks it could result in some transparency. The arbitration, everything is private. Newcastle fans would obviously like the transparency, I think. So would Ashley. What stopped the deal from going through? How was the decision made? Did the top six really have an influence on it being halted? That question has been asked. What was the delay? Richard Masters said last summer the takeover was not approved or rejected, and the offer of arbitration was turned down. That's when the consortium walked away. That's what makes this very complicated, because it wasn't like, yes, we're looking at this and we say no. We're looking at this and we haven't said anything yet.
Yeah.
And the people who wanted to buy are like, well, we're tired of waiting. So today, again, is the process that will decide whether the Competition Appeal Tribunal claim can go ahead, which will take probably the rest of the month to decide if that goes through. If that goes through, then the Premier League have to defend themselves. Then things get really weird. If that doesn't go through, then you're going through the private arbitration process, and we might not hear as much, and it's probably slanted a little more towards the Premier League. Okay. If Newcastle and Ashley get what they want on this claim today, and they're not going to get it today, it's going to be a process that starts. But if they get what they want there, I think the deal will probably go through, because I don't think they're going to find a way to stop it. We'll see. Jason Nick says, wasn't there some report about some pressure on some Parliament dudes to get this done? I didn't see that. I know there's been like recurring things about people getting involved, but I haven't seen detail on it. I don't think anybody else can really push it from the outside right now from what I've read, and it's a little hard to follow English lawyering and everything going on with it. So that's what Lee Ryder of the Chronicle has reported lately. I definitely recommend, if you're interested in this saga, to follow him. He is the best on this. He's great with Newcastle news in general, but he's absolutely the best on this stuff. Big stuff out of France that hasn't gotten much play yet either. beIN Sports and Canal Plus are expected to sign a €600 million a year plus bonuses deal for the domestic rights from 2021 to 2024 TV in France. Okay, $600 million a year. I mean, that I'd like that. That's nice money. However, it is a 48% decrease in TV rights revenue from the 1.15 billion a year euro deal that was for 2020 through 24 that collapsed with MediaPro. Remember, MediaPro, I think, missed their first payment. The French league really pushed hard, broke the deal, And there was nobody ready to take up the deal, and now this is the result, a 48% decrease in TV rights. It's also down. That's down. The new deal is down $150 million a year from the previous deal before the Media Pro deal, which saw Canal Plus and beIN pay €750 million a year. So French football is now going back in terms of TV revenue to the 2012-2016 cycle, which was $607 million a year. They're going back almost 10 years. Catastrophic is what Get French Football News says. This is from Get French Football News on Twitter. Great resource for what's going on in the French League. For the clubs that survive the next 18 months with very low TV rights money, it's not horrible money, but it is a lot lower than they expected to have and probably plan to have. They also have major government-backed COVID-19 loans that have to be repaid. They must look to the esports, social media influencer, NFT, and VIP experience markets to raise revenue. But do they have the competence to do that? A Liga club board member tells Get French Football News. This is a quote. For the owners who can afford to spend their way out of this crisis, they are only doing so to protect their reputation. The path forward from a business perspective makes being in French football nonsensical. That is a Ligue 1 club board member saying it is nonsensical to be involved in French football from a business perspective.
Man.
That's not what you want to hear.
Mm-mm.
So, French football is going to be very interesting to follow with a lot of talent in that league that could be available for the cash because they're going to need the cash fast because they went back in time 10 years with how much revenue they're bringing in on TV.
See your league champion this season, Lille.
Yeah, I mean, their manager walked.
And you could get a lot of players that were part and parcel to winning a league championship, and you could get them for the equivalency of pennies on the dollar for their value just because Lille has to pay some bills. Yep. Among others. But them being at the top of the ladder, I mean, Lille is going to have I would anticipate a rather large exodus in this offseason just so they can make ends meet.
Now, this is interesting. RMC, which is another outlet in France, Mohamed Bouhafsi, who is their chief football guy, is reporting that Amazon, not beIN, is who is going to win this deal. Amazon's going to get 8 games, 2 on Canal Plus. This is the domestic TV rights in France, a total of €663 million. Little bit better, but still not great, but a little bit more. But not beIN, which was rather ticked off about the way that France handled things with the last deal and Media Pro getting it and this and that. And then just the expectation that, beIN will come back in and save the day. And they're like, no, we're not. We're not doing that. So I was a little surprised that beIN was linked by French Football News. But according to Mohamed Bouhafsi of RMC, it is Amazon who's going to get those other 8 games. Not beIN. Canal Plus was only going to get 2. They didn't want the big amount of rights.
Yeah, Daniel Cohen over at Octagon, when that news came out, he said that Prime picking up the lion's share of Ligue 1 rights in English on the heels of the Media Pro collapse and the Canal Plus firm fee position is a major coup for Amazon in France. Combined with Roland Garros rights, Amazon is now a formidable sports platform in France.
And they did it at a budget number. So, I mean, yeah, that's great. But the French league is going to suffer with making a whole lot less money than they would have. Amazon, it sounds like, is going to give them a little bit more. But, yeah, that's interesting. That has Mohamed Bouhafsi's piece on Twitter came up 25 minutes ago. The reporting earlier was beIN was going to get that. So it's a little bit more money, but it's still not great. It's still going to put teams in a really bad spot. What do we have on Twitter?
I got a couple on Twitter to catch us up. With the domestic discussion we were having about logos, Tafka's in, and Tafka said, if New England frequently embraces a sash as part of their identity, does that up your appreciation for the crest, since the crest kind of has a sash built in?
Yes. Yes, it does. And we don't have a sash team in MLS. That would be a good look. That'd be a good call. Yes, go for it, Revolution. Yes, then they will get a kind of thumbs up. Just keep the crayon flag in there somewhere. Oh, the Galaxy. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, guys. I was waiting for that something there. But the Galaxy have kind of went away from that though. They did the sash. Now they do like a hidden sash. They should have kept the sash. Take the sash, Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take the sash. If the Galaxy are going to hide the sash,
forerunners of the sash in MLS.
Take it. Because they got the stripes on their awesome kit, and the Galaxy can keep with that. They do still have like the gray sash on the white shirt. They're not proud of their sash.
Mm-mm.
The Revolution can be proud of the sash. Take it.
They're sublimating it. They're kind of pressing it below the waterline. They need to embrace that.
Yes. Take the sash, please. Take the sash, Revolution, and it'll fit better. But keep the crayon flag in there somewhere.
Yes, definitely. And the other one on Twitter that will catch us up, Nathan Pugh, he says, I'm not sure if I'm more excited for Euro Snob kickoff day today or for there to be very thick lines in the Prem next season.
Very thick lines?
Yeah, they're expanding the VAR thickness.
They're expanding the VAR thickness.
Oh, dude, sweet!
I mean, really? They're expanding the VAR thickness.
Thicker lines to call offside.
For what reason?
Let me get the proper verbiage here.
Yeah, give me the proper verbiage. I want to see how they try to explain this one because making a thicker line doesn't do anything to change the law.
Okay, so from The Athletic, and this is from their overseas staff. They're going to introduce thicker lines to help the video assistant referee rule on offside decisions next season. The Professional Game Match Officials Limited, the PGMOL, referees chief Mike Riley presented to Premier League clubs at their annual general meeting before an agreement was made. The thicker lines used by VAR should benefit the attacker and give them the benefit of the doubt as the measurement used will not be as fine as last season. Thicker lines means there's a larger margin of error for offside positions. Several decisions, this is from the article, several decisions during last year's Premier League campaign, such as those involving Daniel Podence and Diogo Jota, ruled a player offside because their toe or arm was in front of the defender, but with thicker lines, this will no longer be penalized.
So let me get this straight. Once again, the Premier League has decided to not follow the laws of the game that they are part of creating as part of IFAB.
Mm-hmm.
And they have manufactured a margin of error by having
thicker lines. Yay.
Mm-hmm. And also, the final outcome of the decision will be shown, but the process of drawing the offside lines will no longer be seen by broadcasters and TV viewers. So all of the making of the sausage that we saw last season, where you're seeing the X, Y, and Z axes being drawn and all that, you're not going to get that anymore as a part of your viewing experience, apparently, with the Premier League.
No, the law doesn't say anything about tech being involved, Jason Nix. The law says if it's off, it's off. If it's on, it's on. What the Premier League is doing is covering up where the on is on, off is offline is.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, people have called for this. Okay, fine. What does it really do? It moves the line. Mm-hmm. That's all it does. It doesn't change the law. It doesn't change anything. It just moves where the line is. So now, instead of Diogo Jota's very close call, there's going to be another close call. It's still going to be a close call somewhere. The line's just different. So now it will be, it's really close, but it's just outside of that margin of error. It's just outside of that thick yellow line. Man, I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just moving it.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. Yeah, I don't know what that impression was, Ricky Ricardo. I got nothing. It's a Friday.
I think you were Cartmaning. I think
no, if I can do Cartman. It wasn't Cartmaning. Maybe it was a British Cartman or something. I don't know. It got all completely crossed up. I blame it on slow pour last night.
There you go. And clubs have also been told it will be at least 2 years before the automated offside technology can be used in the Premier League. Hence the change to use thicker lines.
Yeah, sweet. We got thicker lines, dude. Yeah, sweet.
Oh, God.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
They're moving the line. People will still complain. People will still lose their minds. Riot against VAR. It's all going to happen.
We got thicker lines, man. We're cool.
Shut up.
Sweet.
So over it. Change the law. Get this thing done, please. Like, it's dumb. Because somebody will be very closely on or off based off the thicker lines. But Jason Nix, this is what I'm saying. I am going to argue with you because, one, I'm a jerk. Two, the line is just in a different place now.
You're covering up the mistake.
Yeah, forget that. Like, it's in a different place. Like, it's still going to have a close call. It's just not going to be the person's toe. It might be their arch now instead. Like, the line's still going to be somewhere, and there's going to be a close call. It gets people angry. So now it's moving the line away from the actual way that the laws of the game are written, which is even more bonkers in my opinion. Write the thing and say what is on, what is off. People want the attackers to have more room to be onside. Write it that way. And then people will argue when somebody's narrowly on or off any which way.
Mm-hmm. Respect my authority!
Oh, and Sean Vergara is proposing an I'm a Jerk t-shirt now as a part of our Teespring.
People already say it enough. We don't need a t-shirt for it.
But what you can do is you can get your Action at the Fraction t-shirt.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
You can get your Action at the Fraction t-shirt and all of your other Soccer Down Here gear at our Teespring store. Teespring.com/soccer-down-here.
Yes.
Get your Action at the Fraction stuff, your Soccer Down Here stuff, your Presser Pancakes t-shirt, your tins, your sweatshirts, all that stuff at the Teespring store.
Yes. Montreal has announced that they are terminating Louis Binks' loan deal, going back to Bologna on July 1st. He has not played this season, and he is headed back. He was pretty good last year. So, not happening. Sean Vergara wants a stick and stay shirt.
I think probably what we should do is take all of the catchphrases and just put them on the back of one. Like, have Soccer Down Here on the front with all the catchphrases from all of us on the back.
Mm-hmm. That'll work.
I mean, because that way, unless we want to do individual T-shirts with each and every catchphrase that each one of us has.
No. Mile High 17, we might be reaching out to you for this.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
Yep.
All right.
Caught up on Twitter, sir.
Caught up on Twitter. Let's see if there's any other news that has broken in the world of the football, the calcio, the soccer.
Oh, the quickest sponsorship deal in the history of sponsorship deals, or close by.
Norwich. Yeah, what happened with that?
They decided to part ways. The online betting firm BK8, Norwich has canceled the sponsorship deal. BK8 was supposed to be on the front of the Norwich City kit this year, but after videos and Instagram accounts linked to hardcore pornography.
Oh, I didn't know it was hardcore.
Well, yeah, there was apparently on BK8's Thai language YouTube channel, there was a video posted back in 2019 that had 500,000 views that showed 4 young women simulating a sex act on a sausage. Clip was made private earlier this week and then eventually taken down. So I don't know who...
Can we please have a naughty option somewhere in the chain?
BK8 probably would have liked that. Norwich City did their...
No, they didn't.
Post due diligence.
Yeah, they didn't do any due diligence.
They didn't. That's the thing. It's like once all this stuff came to light, they're like, yeah, no.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Yeah. BK8 still has a lot of their influencers on TikTok that are scantily clad, and they have the fake tattoos that you press on and have BK8 all over everything. And so mutual termination of the commercial partnership from BK8 and the Canaries. So that, yeah.
I don't like the look of it.
Yeah, no, that just did not go over well. And the quality control for me in trying to figure out that sponsorship, that would be my first question.
Good job, Norwich.
Who did their research?
Nobody did.
Yes.
There was no research done.
Eesh.
What else you got?
Oh, let's see. No, I've got a couple of odds and ends.
John, you start talking all kinds of nonsense and bots show up.
That's about right.
Uh-huh.
That's about right.
Good grief.
Want to become famous by followers, primes, and viewers. What's a prime on Twitch?
People who subscribe via Amazon Prime.
Okay. Buy primes. All right. Did you see this about Chris Smalling and his wife seeing a UFO?
Chris Smalling and his wife saw a UFO?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were vacationing in Jamaica.
They saw a UFO in Jamaica.
Yeah, so they're vacationing in Jamaica, and they looked up in the sky, and they claimed that they spotted a UFO, but because they were so freaked out by seeing what they thought was a UFO, they didn't take a picture.
Okay.
So, no pic didn't happen?
I guess.
But Smalling's wife went on her Instagram account and explained the situation. And she's like, and here's what she said. Wait a
minute. Where were they again?
They're in Jamaica.
They were in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Smalling's wife, Sam, goes on Instagram. And so here's her first paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I promise we weren't on magic mushrooms or anything.
Where were they again?
Jamaica.
It's simple. It's easy. Read between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
But me and @Smalling saw the craziest UFO last night. Not like a quick few seconds sighting of something high in the sky that could have been enough of a plane. It flew down low past us, then turned, and shot back high up in the sky where it stayed for an hour. Maybe longer, but we had to leave. It was too small to get on film when it stayed stationed in the sky, although Chris could see it rotating with lights flashing all around it. I could only see the outer lights at this point as my eyes aren't as good. We could have got it on camera when it was flying by us, as it was as clear to see, but we were both too gobsmacked to get our cameras out. Plus, we didn't want to look away and miss whatever it was. It looked massive. Didn't look like your typical UFO sightings. It was totally silent. And she goes, and then she followed up. For the record, it was 100 billion% not a drone. Mm-hmm. It was massive, very sophisticated, with faint lights all around the edge. Also an odd shape, not like that of a drone. Crazy, I know. Also, it wasn't a plane or anything like that. It was silent. Even drones are loud. Mm-hmm. So that's Chris Smalling and his wife on holiday in Jamaica.
Okay. Sounds like a good time.
And did you hear where Jose has claimed another half a trophy?
Jose's claiming half trophies now?
Yeah.
How do you get a half trophy?
Let's see. So he's on, I don't know if anybody caught this, but this was on the Late Late Show with James Corden.
Okay, I didn't know Jose was making the rounds there, but all right, cool.
So he's on with James Corden, and so the two of them are talking, and he's talking about his year and a half at Spurs. And he says, while discussing Manchester United, Mourinho informed Corden he's actually won 25 and a half trophies in his time as manager.
What?
So Corden says, what's the half?
Mm-hmm.
He says, the half is the final I didn't play with Tottenham.
I mean, I get him being salty about it. That was pretty dirty in the way he was done by that one. He got them into a final and then was fired the week of the final. I mean, not exactly. You don't get half a trophy for that because they didn't even win the trophy. So there's no half to give you. But I understand him being salty about it. That was poorly handled.
Yes. Trophy 25 was in 16-17 after winning Europa League with Manchester United. And so he says the half was when he was fired by Spurs. And so he's now at 25 and a half trophies in his career.
Unofficial. Highly unofficial.
Yes. And last thing from me.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Did you see, and this was a really cool thing, when Sergio Aguero left Manchester City, he did a raffle to get his 40,000-pound Range Rover. It's like all of the personnel, all the staff, they put their names in a hat, and then
40,000 pounds in terms of the value, not the weight.
Value of the Range Rover,
not the weight.
Right.
Just checking.
Yeah. So 40,000-pound Range Rover, and so a member of the city's kit team won the luxury car. And Sergio also gave out 1,000-pound Tag Heuer watches to a lot of the staff as well, just as thank yous for his time there. So the kit man who won the car is now putting it up for sale on eBay.
Okay.
Yeah. 5% of the sale will be donated to Darien House Children's Hospice as a gesture from the couple. But the kit man and his wife already have two cars.
Oh.
And so they put the 2016 Range Rover Evoque on eBay with a starting price of £23,000.
Okay. I mean,
so
cashing out on it, I guess I get it.
Yeah. So member of the backroom staff is putting a Range Rover that he won in a raffle as Sergio Aguero was leaving Manchester City, putting it out on eBay. So if you've got a spare £23,000 and you want Sergio Aguero's Range Rover, perhaps go to ebay.co.uk and see if the auction is still live.
Go for it. Get French Football News has an update on the now Amazon deal with domestic rights. And they ask who wins out on this deal. They say French football perhaps in the long run, if existing Amazon Prime Video users get newly drawn into it. However, per Statista, it appears that less than 1 million people currently use Amazon Prime Video in France, less than 1.5% of the current population. The league CEO can say he got roughly 50 million euro more a year than what Canal Plus and beIN Sports were offering, and that his pick is bold, and for the future, it's still a 42% drop in revenue and not enough to save many clubs from financial ruin. Supporters are punished because Canal Plus and beIN package would have allowed French fans to watch all games with a subscription to one TV box. It seems totally implausible that Amazon strikes a deal with Canal Plus to produce a channel. They're not going to do that. This is not for Liga in the United States, Coco. No. That's on beIN. This is for the domestic rights in France, which Amazon Prime is not exactly very strong in France. They're hoping to, I guess, increase their strength by doing this. Get French Football News hopes, and I agree that some of the winners are journalists, broadcasters, pundits who jumped to Telefoot Media Pro when that was created. Now Amazon will hopefully pick some of them up. French football fans do go from paying €25 or €25 a month for Telefoot to watch 80% of Liga and League 2 in the first half of the 2020-2021 season to €6 a month for Amazon Prime with fast free delivery on all goods, video content of all genres, and 80% of the top two divisions for 2021 through 24. Should be noted that this is pending Amazon not adding additional pricing tiers to the current offering for Amazon Prime Video when they add this content, which they haven't done in other places, so I don't know if they would do it in France. But Amazon Prime Video is not exactly a big deal in France.
Yeah.
So, weird.
I'm still looking forward to seeing as much as humanly possible on Fanatis.
Okay, that was random, but yes.
Well, no, because Ligue 1 was there for beIN, and so that was...
Yes, beIN is on Fanatis in the United States. FNTZ.co/soccer down here. You can also watch Spanish language coverage of the Argentine leagues. You can get TIC there if you don't have it elsewhere. You can watch Portuguese coverage of the Brasileiro there as well. You've got Goal TV there, which gets you Ecuador, which gets you Uruguay, which gets you Peru now. The Peruvian league is on Goal TV. Lots of things on the Fanatis, along with games being archived and such. FNTZ.co/soccer soccer down here. I don't have BN. That's why I have it. It's Fanatis, and they are great with their coverage. I like the ability to scroll back and watch games that I might have missed. It's definitely
you got me hooked, and so I am a subscriber.
Yes, the Colombian playoffs are going on Fanatis right now, and the Colombian playoffs are helping me in the picks of the week, from what I hear.
That is accurate, sir. You are 3 for 3, and the rest of us are 2 for 3.
Not bad.
You have a let's see, 79, 41, 120. You have a 67 juice box lead currently at the halfway point of the week.
How do I only have a 67 one? Did I not get very much out of my Colombian pick?
No, Junior was a minus 167 favorite.
There you go. Got it. Okay, cool. Just checking.
Yep.
All right. Well, hopefully it all works out for me the rest of the way. I've had a couple of slightly down weeks. Everybody else has had a chance to win. Just trying to help out.
Being there for the people. That's
trying to make it competitive, those kinds of things. Trying to make it exciting for the people, doing what I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Italy and Turkey will try to make it exciting for people today. No live show next Thursday, Sean Vergara. The tour is back in 2 weeks from Thursday. Where are we in 2 weeks? I don't have it in front of me.
3 Taverns?
Yes, we're at 3 Taverns, and it might be the Imaginarium location. It might be the Decatur location. Stay tuned. But 2 weeks we will be at 3 Taverns, one of their locations. And next week I'll actually be on the call covering for Jess on Peachtree City MOBA USL League 2 action next Thursday night.
Nice.
Yes. I am hanging on to past success, Coco. It's absolutely true. But I have won 7 of 15 of our picks of the week, and nobody else has got more than 3.
4.
4? Okay,
yeah, 7, 4, 2, and 2.
Sorry, Nick. You got 4 now. Woo! I got 7. I believe there was a question about Dutch rights and who has them. I think ESPN Plus, they had them. I think they still have them. I don't know if those were up for negotiation, Ricky. We'll have to figure that out. I'm not sure. Some of those smaller leagues don't get announced until the last minute. They just kind of pop up. You were asked Firehouse or Jersey Mike's, and you went Firehouse, eh?
I did, just because I really like the hook and ladder at Firehouse.
No, it's a good sandwich.
And so when I would spend a lot of time at Georgia Public, and we'd go to lunch, there was a Firehouse nearby, and I don't know, I like the bread better, I like the mix better, I like the steaming option that you have with Firehouse, so I'll go with Firehouse there.
I do not have a Firehouse anywhere near me.
No, and that's the problem.
Firehouse is good. Jersey Mike's is really good as well. I like Jersey Mike's a lot. And there is one near me, and they deliver, and it's very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Jersey Mike's gets my thumbs up, mainly because of proximity right now.
Yeah, and that's a valid point, because I think there's one in downtown Decatur, if I'm not mistaken.
Jersey Mike's?
Yeah, I think so.
Might be.
Like in downtown.
Might be.
But no, both are definitely of merit, and
yeah, both are good. You're not going to go wrong with either one.
No. So,
Sean is asking me Nadal or Joker. I am not up on my tennis. Sean.
Nadal on clay. I mean, for me, that's kind of the default.
Yeah, I am not up on my tennis. I have fallen out of paying attention to tennis. I'm paying attention to the second division in Argentina more. Sorry.
And Perfect Tommy has a legitimate Firehouse point.
Yes.
He appreciates the hot sauce bar that they have.
Yeah, good.
All the different hot sauces from all the different sections of the country that produce hot sauce.
The cheesesteaks are good at Jersey Mike's. The no hot sauce bar because of COVID.
Oh, that's true. Oh.
Womp, womp, womp.
Give me a hook and ladder, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Nothing. You're not gonna go wrong with that. More ridiculousness out of South America. I mentioned the question about Argentina's roster for Copa America. Roy Nemer reports that the official list, which was supposed to be an official list, yet released yesterday for the Argentina squad, is not actually an official list. Rumors that one of the goalkeepers who are on it could be dropped. If Armani is fit, Musso or Marchesín will get cut. If Armani is not fit, he'll get cut. So the official list is not the official list.
Until it's the official list.
But whenever that happens, we don't know. So maybe that makes it easier for them to add Julian Alvarez to the squad, and we'll just have to wait and see. But the official list is not official. Welcome to South American football.
Welcome to South American football.
Tigres fans were at the airport in Monterrey to welcome Florian Thauvin, their new signing, who is another Frenchman coming to Monterrey, Mexico, to join Tigres and Piojo.
Can't wait for those press conferences.
The Tigres France connection is very, very interesting. Final questions from you guys as we wrap up. Sean says, do you think Barco would go to the Copa America? No, that's not happening. He's not going to that group. He will be with the U23s. He won't go into the Copa America. That's not going to happen. So, no. Club America is a different conversation. I got to look and see what they have and what they could be losing. Yes, I could see them paying a good enough transfer fee to potentially get a deal done. Yes, I could see him making that move. I don't know if it's the best move for him, but it might be the most available move currently. I could see it happening. I don't think it is more than 50% likely, though. That's where my head's at. I think he's pretty much a lock for the Olympics, Ricky. I do. I think he's pretty much a lock for that. I mean, if he's playing a significant role in these games beforehand and he's playing well by most accounts, I don't think they'll drop him. I think some of the reporting earlier in the year was that he was seen as a focal point of that U23 group. So I think, yeah, he'll be in the mix for that team and he'll play. And I think he goes. I don't think the team holds him back on that. Yes, I'd say pretty much a lock. I think that's a fair number, fair terminology there. Well, and here you go. The Argentine U23s just opened the scoring against Saudi Arabia in the second half. Barco gets down the left, cuts the ball back for Pedro de la Vega, who opens the scoring. So he just assisted on a goal. He scored a goal. He's going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And everybody's boy de la Vega gets the goal, who could be going to Tottenham or Everton. Possibly. Maybe.
Perhaps.
It'd be a good move. It'd be a really good move. Four-card is yelling. Coco, the Barco to De La Vega connection. Maybe De La Vega comes
Polga to Atlanta United.
Yes, Polga to Atlanta. Let's do it. Polga, De La Vega, just sign everybody and bring him here so everybody will be happy. And Heinze will figure it out, and he'll flip coins to see who plays day to day. And that's where we're going. All right, that's going to do it for us. There could be watch-alongs at various points because there's a lot of games to watch along with, so stay tuned. Please follow us on Twitch. Make sure you are doing that. It's very helpful when you do because then you'll know when we go live. And look, that could probably happen at any time right now because it's kind of craziness. Also, we will be back on Monday with a normal show. John, where are you on Monday?
Monday for the show, I'm here. Okay. Monday for soccer over there, I am in transit to Austin, Texas, where I will be doing the show next week.
Okay. So you are here on Monday.
Morning,
and then not available for soccer over there.
I will tape my content that will air during the show.
You will tape your content. Wow, look at this guy. Okay. So you will tape your content for that.
Yep. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I will be in Austin, Texas. We're going to try to see if we can get into Q2 to see the women's national team match midweek and not have to pay $150 per ticket just to get in the door. And right now, won't be there for Saturday's match with Verde and the Earthquakes, but right now on the secondary ticket market, it's over $400 to get in the door at Q2 to see Austin FC's first ever home opener against San Jose.
Good grief.
Yep.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Good luck with that.
True.
Good luck, Austin. Do your thing. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for hanging out with us. Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.